So now we'll open the licensing, Revere License Commission meeting. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of August 19th and September 16th. Is there a motion on the table to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll say great. Item number one is the Belle Isle Rotary Club, Comfort Inn and Suites. Please state your name, please, for the record.
My name is Ashley Melnick, 89 Neiman Street, Revere, Massachusetts. I'm representing the Belle Isle Rotary Club today. We're asking for a one-day beer and wine license to be executed at the Comfort Inn and Suites for our paint night. It's a fundraising event to take place on March 12th. It's a Saturday evening.
Great. Any questions?
No question.
No, sounds like another great evening. I think we did that.
We did it last year as well. It was very successful, so we're hoping for the same success this year.
Great.
And I'm looking forward to it. Yes?
Paint night.
Paint night. So what happens is, it's a fairly new, fundraising activity. They're also opening up various, paint bars in the Boston area. So you can go and you have an instructor that shows you how to paint, step by step, and then you have a couple glasses of wine, you paint a beautiful picture, and then you have a nice piece of artwork to take home with you at the end of the evening.
Sounds good. Great. No other questions. I will. Are there any proponents that want to speak on behalf of this event? Seeing and hearing none, are there any opponents? Hearing and seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second to that?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're all set. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Number two is Fiesta shows. 15 Pine Street, Seabrook, New Hampshire. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
John Flynn, Vice President of Fiesta Shows, 15 Pine Street, Seabrook, New Hampshire.
Great, thank you, Mr. Flynn. So we have a few questions that relate to some of the things that happened last year. And one, we had a couple of incidents that required the help of the Revere Police Department. And my concern is, and I know a lot of, some of the proceeds go towards the Revere youth programs and things like that. So I'm sensitive to that. However, I am also concerned about what you're planning to do in terms of safety measures. I know last year you had police details, and I'm wondering what you could do to mitigate that this year.
Actually, we had that one incident last year, and after that, I met with the former mayor and the chief and went over a plan, and we actually put on, let me clarify that. It was a I guess once in a blue moon type of an event. It was extremely warm. It was the day before the Good Friday. We had a wristband special for the kids. But because of the weather and a lot of other factors, the attendance there was more than as usual. But met with the chief about it. He didn't think it was that big of a deal. He did say, and I recommended it, that we put on additional police at whenever they'd like to do that. Obviously, we've been doing the event for over 30 years, I think. None of us like to have anything like that happen. There was a lot of pushing and shoving. I think they might have taken away a couple of people, I believe, some teenagers. Obviously, we'll put on more police as needed. So
how does that work when you're at an event and you get a larger crowd than you anticipate?
I leave it solely up to the police. They're the people that know public safety. They're the people that know if there's a bad element or something that's coming in. I have an open book with them. If you say we need 3 more people, then bring 3 more people in. We don't question that in terms of public safety.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I have no other questions other than, so it's entirely up to the Revere Police Department on how much detail you have? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. We start off with an initial amount, I think it might be 4 people, and then based on as we go, if they require more, they can call it right in. They don't even have to check with me. I think basically Captain Guido oversees a lot of that. Been doing it for years, and we leave it up to them.
Okay. So whether you're there or not, the police have the authority to call in
Yes,
extra
they do.
detail?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
John, a couple of questions. So right now, the city receives what type of compensation from this event? Is it a percentage of the
They
revenues, or is it a fixed amount?
They receive a percentage from the profit from all of the ticket sales,
Okay.
and that goes to a variety of the youth groups within the city.
Is it 10%, 5%?
I'd have to look at the contract, sir, I'm not sure. I would say it's more like 20 or 30%, I believe.
Because in situations like last year, what type of escalation process and communication process to the police department, or is that primarily on the responsibility of the police department to, call in additional support? And if in the event of an escalation of a
If I'm on site, my managers or whatever, if they think, they're in constant communication with the police that are on duty there, but if they think we need some more, they might mention it to the local, whoever the police officer is on duty. And from then, it would go obviously down to police headquarters, and they would go from there, but I solely rely on them. It's probably one of the reasons why we've never had any major incidents there or anything, except for that time with the kids that were taken out. And again, it was kids, and when things like that transpire, it's not good for the general public, it's not good for us.
Okay, just to follow up on Commissioner LaCroix's question, when you say you give to the youth, does it go into a pool, or is it so much for each sport? I don't understand how that's distributed.
I'm not actually sure how the McCarthy-Trifoni Recreation Committee goes ahead and distributes that. I think it might be based on the amount of kids. I'd have to have them talk to you directly.
Oh, is that how the funding still is distributed, is through the
Yes, it is.
McCarthy Fund?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought it had changed somewhere down the line where
No, it still goes through the McCarthy-Trifoni Rec for that event. The other event that we do sometimes down on the beach is solely through the mayor's office. That's all for the city of Revere.
Oh,
But this
okay.
particular event, it's for the youth programs for, I believe, most of the money goes towards uniforms and equipment.
Okay, so that's how it originally was. When I remember way back when this first started, it was always through the McCarthy.
You were 10 years old when
Trifoni.
we started that.
Yeah, at least. I wore the little wristband. So that's how it was. So it is separate. So if you were to do it at another location, then it goes directly through the mayor and
Yes, it does.
through the Parks and Recreation?
Yes. Well, let me clarify that. Yes, it does go through the mayor. The one other event that we always help out on is the Sandcastle event, and that goes through that committee, and they distribute that money out for, I'm not even sure what they do with it. I'm sure it's to cover some of their overhead.
Okay, so then those funds are distributed through the city as seen needed as, for recreational
Yes, ma'am.
functions? Okay. And the one that goes for the sports teams is the one that you're planning on doing now?
Over
The
at
3
the
week,
cinemas, correct.
and they get 100% of whatever the percentage of it is
Yes, they do.
to go for equipment? Okay, thank you. I appreciate
Thank you.
the clarification on that.
And again, if I could just reiterate that in talking with the chief, with the detail officer, I would gladly start off with more people. In my eye, I think having the police presence there is why we haven't had problems in the past. I think a strong police presence just kind of dictates the mood and the way everything's going to go. So definitely, whatever they would need, we're open for.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
No, I have no other questions.
The only other question, so Sean, is the 11, has there been any complaints about, disturbances outside the carnival after the event with the neighbors, or has it been mostly internal in terms of?
No, in that location, because it's, it's not really very residential
Correct.
there at all. I don't think we generally get many complaints, but I can only speak from experience working the detail myself. When the carnival closes, it's kind of funny how fast it shuts down. They shut that carnival down, and it's empty in 10 minutes. Everybody gets in their cars and goes or walks and they go. We really don't have much loitering around afterwards.
We traditionally keep the detail on a half hour after the event is closed, and they traditionally go ahead and make a sweep of the parking lot too, even though the cinemas are still open.
Okay.
Music, when does that shut down generally?
Generally 10 o'clock at night.
10 o'clock?
No, I have no other questions.
Are there any proponents that want to speak on behalf of this event? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that side. Are there any opponents? Hearing and seeing none, I'll make a motion. 9 West LLC doing business as 99 Restaurant and Pub. This is an application for a change of manager. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Tanya Susi, 1 Mooney Circle, Burlington, Mass.
Great. And you're applying for the manager, well, not for the manager's position, but you're making a change to the application.
Yes.
Is that correct? Great. And can you give this board a little sorry?
No.
A little background on your experience in the restaurant industry.
So I started in the restaurant industry when I was in college. I worked during the summer, different events as a server and a host, and eventually up to a bartender. And then when I graduated college, I started with the 99 and went right into the management program and started through the training program there, and then became assistant manager. So in that, going through doing serve safe and
Great. And assistant manager on Revere or other?
I was assistant manager in Waltham for most of it, and then in our Woburn location on Mishram Road.
Great. Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
I do not.
I don't either. Is there a motion on the table?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. You're all set. Thank you. Item number 4 is Beachmont Corporation doing business as Beachmont Roast Beef, 629 Winthrop Avenue. This is an application to transfer the common victuals license and change of hours. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Andy Arfanos, 205 Weatherby Drive, Westwood, Mass.
Right. And so can you give us a little background on what you're planning to do?
Okay, I'm going to keep it the same. I'm going to keep it as a roast beef place. I'm going to add just seafood to it, nothing else. I've been in the industry all my life, since 8 years old. I currently own a pizza store in South Boston, and I've had it for about 10 years.
Great. And you're requesting a change of hours?
Yeah, keep it till 2 a.m., 3 the most, but around there. I don't know, I'm not certain if I'll actually stay those hours, but I'd like to have the license just in case I decide.
Okay. Great. Any questions from the commission?
No, I have no questions. Everything is going to remain exactly the same.
Yep.
No changes at all.
No.
And the license currently is 2 a.m.?
Yep, I think so.
No, it's till midnight.
Well, yeah, I'd like it till 2.
Right, you're looking for an extension of hours till 2 o'clock. I understand, you know, we have a Dunkin' Donuts right in that area too. I don't know what time they're open till, but we sometimes build a little bit of a crowd there.
Well, my pizza store currently is open till 2 a.m. in Boston. I'm around bars. I know how to deal with the crowds. I've been doing it for the last 5 years, so 2:30 sometimes. I haven't had any problems. No fights, nothing like that. And when there is a fight, I know how to deal with that type of crowd.
The
So
issue
pretty-
with-
Yeah, well, we're not-
I think the issue with Dunkin' Donuts was that they were looking to go beyond 2 a.m.
Correct.
and that they were just adjacent to the houses right in that area. Beachmont roast beef is sort of on the other side of the train.
It's on the other side of the train. So
On
the train's in the middle, you got
Right.
Beachmont, and you've got Dunkin' Donuts. They're one building away.
I'm not opposed to the 2 a.m. as long as it, as long as there isn't any issues with it, but it's my opinion.
I mean,
I don't have a problem with extending the hours, but I think till 2 o'clock is maybe more than I would look at right now. I would love a trial period till 1 o'clock and see how it works out. But, you know, that's my opinion. I know the area very well. And, I don't know, of course, we're 2 o'clock.
you never got a craving for a roast beef at 2 a.m.?
I'm not going to answer that because I usually head to the beach.
Would you be opposed to 1 a.m.?
No, I won't. That's fine.
He can always come back and reapply,
Right. I
but,
just want that option for later. Right now, I'm gonna keep it, until 12, but I want that option for later on, if I wanna stay later, if I see there's a lot of crowd in the summer. I'm thinking mostly in the summer, there might be a late night crowd than the winter time.
Any opposition from the police department?
No, traditionally, that location hasn't, any specific problem for us that I can recall off the top of my head, but, no, we wouldn't be opposed.
Great. Thank you. Any other-
I'm okay with two.
Any other
but you guys
questions?
want to do one?
I have no other questions.
So there's a motion on the table to make it 1 AM. Are there any proponents that want to speak on behalf of this establishment? Hearing and seeing none. Are there any opponents? Hearing and seeing none. So,
I don't-
sorry.
Excuse me. Okay, I don't think I made a motion at this point.
Do
You
you
go
want
ahead.
to make
No,
one?
that's fine. I thought you
Do you want to do
thought I
1 AM?
made-
Is that,
I'm going to listen to a motion.
okay.
There's a motion going on the floor.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion that we agree to the transfer of license, and then we agree to change the time to 1 AM on a trial basis, and then if it works out, they would have the opportunity to come back and reapply for 2 AM.
Okay, thank you.
That is in the form of a motion. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're all set?
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, that's select, that's postponed. Sorry? Okay. Okay, so item number 5 is select car and truck and rental, and they've applied for a continuance. Okay. Item number 6 is a hearing, Cinco de Mayo 2, doing business as Pancho Villa Mexican Restaurant. This is a hearing regarding a pattern of late-night disturbances requiring police intervention and arrests. The matter was continued from the meeting of November 18th. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have Sergeant Kerry come up and give her a report as to, how things have been over the last month or so, and then we'll rule on that. Thank you. Sergeant Carey. Please state your name anyway for the record.
Sergeant Patty Carey, Revere Police Department.
Great, thanks. Can you give us an update as to what you feel, how things are going?
Cinco is, we monitor them as usual as part of our directed patrols. I have not seen any aberrations. I don't know if Lieutenant in his research has found anything else.
No, that seems to have been quiet in the last month.
And the crowd seems to be behaving themselves, and we make sure they disperse and
no
as
issues?
quickly as possible. But the cold weather helps. Like
Yeah, it does.
there's no incentive to hang out then.
Mm-hmm.
So no issues on that side, and cooperation is fine?
We've never had a problem. We really haven't had any problems with them cooperating. If there's an incident inside, they call us. They have the video queued up for us to come look at and review, and they even will make sure that they burn it to a CD, or will be very accommodating to have our officer who does the video collection go down and retrieve that. So I don't have a complaint about Cinco as far as cooperation goes.
Great, thank you, appreciate it. Any questions for council?
Ira Novoselsky, 53D Hone Street, Ward 2 Councilor. Members, I received complaints on January 11th about mostly the patrons when they're leaving at 2 a.m. And they were talking about the loud music at 1 a.m.
So is it music coming from the establishment, or is it music coming from people's vehicles as they're leaving?
The establishment.
Okay.
I'm just going by an email I got from, the residents.
And this is at 1 a.m.?
This was at 1 a.m. and at 2 a.m. when they clear out, a lot of, according to the neighbors, the patrons are hanging around outside, speaking loudly, you know, at the top of their lungs. I get it in my street, so, you know, I'm right up the street from it. I think there has to be more outside monitoring when the people are leaving.
So define that for me. Are you talking about from within the establishment or from the
From
police
within.
department?
From
Okay.
within, have their security people go outside, make the people disperse, and allegedly the police were called on this night, and they weren't sure if anybody came down, but if they did come down, it wasn't effective at all. They didn't see them come down. So again, I'm just going by the neighbors, and
Duly noted.
you know, so
I'll have to double check the log. Sometimes if the exact address isn't put in when I run my log, I don't get every single call because I only put in that address. It might have gotten logged in a different address. So I'll have to go back and double check.
So, you know, I just, you know, asked that if we're going to let them stay till 2, you know, and they said mostly on Saturday and Sunday nights are the issues. If they're going to stay open till 2, that they're going to have to patrol outside until everybody disperses. You know, other than that, you know, I would ask that they be pulled back on their times.
Okay.
You know, but, you know, I'm willing to hold that open and, you know, have some policing done in over the next month.
Great.
Thank you.
Counselor, just one question, Counselor Novoselsky. I see that they must text you or email you or wake you up, obviously. Is there a way that we can notify them that it would be much better to have a paper trail if they were to notify the police department? I'm not saying they can't call you, but by notifying the police department, it gives us a record.
Yep.
And the police can go down there and check and see exactly what's taking place and why. It would be very helpful to this board to have that paper trail from the police department. If you could notify any of the abutters that are calling and do have that problem.
Actually, this came on the mayor's hotline.
Came from the mayor's?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that
It
should be
was
good
sent
enough.
to the mayor. It was sent to the mayor's hotline. I get a copy of it when
Okay.
it goes in on the C-Click Fix.
Okay.
You know, and that's on record, even, you know, downstairs through either the mayor's office or the clerk's office.
Right. Well, that's great, but I just think with the police showing up, they can kind of feel out why that problem's happening when they're leaving.
Yeah, the comment, the comment that was made here was when they called, the responding call taker said, and this is their quote, "I guess we'll send the car over."
Oh.
So-
Well, I think that the police would go
Yeah,
call down there. I don't know why that was said, because I know the police respond immediately. We've obviously
You
have
know,
dealt with them
I
quite a
can-
bit.
I can agree to that. You know, I've had incidences with call takers too, where they question me and make me like I'm the perp by making a complaint. You know, some of the call takers, not necessarily, you know, they're actually police officers. But sometimes comments are made that aren't appropriate.
Right.
You know, just take the call, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, and do your thing. You know,
Okay.
we shouldn't have to be interrogated over the phone.
Absolutely.
You recognize we're the
So-
licensing commission and not
I understand, but, you know,
Police
you know, you also have a police officer here that's, you know, is our, you know, a liaison. So, you know, and I'm bringing that forward.
Right.
So this, Maggie, this last form you gave us, was this the event, on the 11th? Is this the documentation for that complaint on the 11th? Okay, so that being the case, we had some operational changes that they had to comply by. I don't have them in front of me, but if this violated those operational changes, then we have an issue. So,
Who's operational change?
well, we had given them some operational
Oh, things to do.
things to do. So. I
I'm
don't know
just
where
bringing
they-
it forward to you, you know, when, again,
Okay.
when I get the call at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and see an email and a C-Click Fix on it, I have a concern.
Because the music's supposed to stop, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, it's at
Yeah.
1 o'clock.
And that's Las
We have a
Vegas.
different place, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's what I
So,
thought.
you know, if we want to do the same thing
That was the same
down there as we
place.
do at Vegas,
Okay,
Well, I mean, to me, this is a different not a different situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got a complaint, we want to address that, so that's, I want to be crystal clear on that. But I also view the establishments as very different. One is very cooperative and traditionally hasn't been a problem, and the other one is a chronic problem. And so I don't really put these two establishments in the same category. However, I also, I do want to hear from them in terms of, you know, what their steps will be, you know, going forward at closing time. And then also, I would be interested on your directed patrols, Lieutenant Randall. Is that something that is systematically, do they hit all the establishments, or do they hit certain establishments, you know, on certain nights and others on?
It all depends night to night.
Time that you said you got the phone call, what time was that, the last complaint you got?
same time, 1:30, 2 o'clock. And that was, I believe that was in December, you know, around the time we had the situation last time. Same
Okay.
time in the morning.
So the parking lot, they're still in the parking lot at 2 o'clock?
That I don't know, you know, if I get the call, you know, I'm just getting out of bed when I get the call and I hear what's going on, and I don't go down there to check it out.
Yeah. No, I'm going by your complaints on your
Yeah.
phone. If
There's
someone called
nothing
after 2 o'clock.
Nothing about the parking lot, even though it's a shared parking lot that they have down there with Dr. Bichetti's. So, you know, I know they get, Dr. Bichetti's closed, they get to use the lot. What happens at night, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've seen cars in there, but, you know, when they leave, I don't know if those patrons are the drivers or if they're waiting for rides. I can't answer that.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Doesn't seem like a huge problem. It seems like management should be able to handle this quite well, and
One thing about Cinco's parking situation is that, yes, they do have the shared parking lot, but they also have the on-street parking. Their patrons are located either on Centennial and Home, and they're even over at Four Square and sometimes North Shore Road. So when they break, they, you know, start walking up towards the residential end, and that's where probably the problems rise.
right.
I mean, I don't know how you
Yeah,
can
that's
control
kind of,
that any
right.
time, but
You go up to
other than
or, right, and to identify whose car. We also have other establishments around there, so identifying where they're coming from is, but to me, it doesn't seem like this is a huge problem. I think it's something that management should be able to take care of.
We've actually, ever since we came in November, ever since then, we put 3 security guards on Saturdays, because Saturdays, I know it's more of our busy night than Friday. Friday's pretty slow. Sundays is very slow. But Saturdays, I do have 3 securities, and the 3rd security is always outside now. He's the one who's controlling the parking lot, trying to keep everybody quiet. Once we start closing down, I'm doing last call at 1:20 instead of 1:30. I do 1:20 last call, 1:40, everybody starts getting out. 10 before 2, I'm already closing the gates, everybody's off. And the people that are still waiting outside is the ones that are waiting for their taxis. From there on, sometimes our patrons like to put up their music, and that's when the security starts telling them to calm it down. And they calm it down and they leave. So
What
I'm
time-
very controlled with that now.
What time do you shut the music off in the establishment?
At 1:35.
1:35? That's late. That's on the late side. You're closing at 2, 1:35.
I know the music's supposed to be shut off by 1:45.
But obviously yours is still very loud at
No, we actually,
1:35.
by 1 o'clock, we start lowering it more. We start lowering it than what we have it, so it starts going low by 1 o'clock. By 1:20, 1:25, when we start doing last call, the DJ starts telling them, all right, people, we need to start paying up. We're gonna be closing soon. And everybody starts calming down and starts paying their bills, and they start walking out.
Well, you know, again, I think it's a small problem lowering the music. No no neighbor should be bothered by music coming out if they're at 1:30.
I've actually gone outside a couple of times, and I have video and the hours that I'm outside. I've gone outside at 1:15, and you could barely hear the music outside.
What I would suggest is that, you probably shouldn't hear any music outside at that time, so I would be conscious of that. So let me ask you a question with respect to the security. Do you have security every night?
We have security Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Okay, so on those nights where you don't have security, and those nights that you have security, but does somebody from the establishment go out at closing time when people are leaving?
Yes.
So the security people do, but what about on the nights where you don't have security?
It's just me and my mother are actually there, and sometimes we close at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock, I think it's been the latest that we've been closing, just because now it's getting so slow. 1 o'clock, but we haven't been staying there till 2 o'clock during the week.
So it's more...
The weekend is the only weekend that we actually make any money.
Right. Council, do you know what night that
It's a Sunday.
that complaint came in?
This complaint came in on the 11th, which is Monday.
Monday morning.
So sometime over that weekend, probably. Okay.
And Sunday,
Okay.
like I'm saying, it's the slowest night, and there's no customers.
Right. So, so you send out your people out?
Yes, my security guards, when they start kicking everybody out, I go outside with them. I'm closing down the gates. I'm always outside with them, trying to control the patrons outside. And all 3 securities are outside all the time.
Okay.
I always see the patrol officers there. Sometimes there's 2. I think this weekend was just 1 patrol officer up there. And they just leave. We haven't had any issues.
Well, maybe if they can expand their perimeter, maybe out to like North Shore Road and just
Yeah,
make
I
sure
could
that
actually
people-
do that and have one of the security guards go up the street and the other one down the street, so one could stay right there in the parking lot and have more of
Yeah.
control of that.
You know, and another thing too, I know it's hard to control it, as Sergeant Carey said, where they're parked all around there. Do you have signs up on the premises asking to be aware that the neighbors can hear the music and to respect the neighborhood maybe?
No, actually, whenever they start coming out, I tell them, stay quiet, or please don't scream as much. We have neighbors, and some people you can understand, some people don't.
No, it's very hard to control once they go out, and I understand, and I appreciate that.
And also the DJ also tells them, we have neighbors, and guys, friendly, he tells them, you need to keep it down.
I think maybe if you put a sign as they're leaving on the door, I have seen that in some establishments.
Yeah, I can actually do something like that.
And, respect the neighbors, it would go a long way. And, I don't like to see any neighbors bothered.
Me neither.
Again, there are taxpayers, they enjoy the peace and quiet, but you do seem to be very responsible and trying to work on the problem. But on the other hand, we have to resolve the problems.
Yes, I've been really on top of it, and I've been working really hard with that, and especially on Saturdays. Like I said, I'm always outside trying to keep everything in calm.
So, I think just with me, I think if you can patrol a little bit on the outside, I don't know how you get up to Orr and North Shore Road and Dehone Street and, help out with that, but you certainly can control the music coming out of that building. That you have 100% control on that. So I for one commissioner would appreciate that not becoming a problem anymore.
Yeah, we've actually had to move a couple of speakers around because some of the speakers were actually on the corner of certain buildings, so we just had to move them all around. So it's not touching, just because our establishment is not actually soundproof. So, but we have lowered down the music big time.
Well, that's something that you can take care of, and that would be a big help.
Yeah, it's just mostly, I think the speakers are just right on the walls that you could actually hear the bass on the speakers. But I have been very, very on control with that.
Okay.
Just a quick question on the music. What time you say you shut the music down?
at 1:30, 1:35.
130, okay. So you do not 140, 130.
1:30, yeah.
Okay.
We start lowering everything down, so it's very low. They're just hearing like a little tap of the
Okay.
music, just to finish up, and everybody's paying their bills, and then everybody's off. They complain because they said we're open to 2, but like I tell them, if you want to see, here's the paper. 1:45, we're supposed to shut it off. 1:40, everybody has to be off the establishment.
Okay.
Yeah. Are there any proponents that want to speak on behalf of this establishment? Are there any opponents? So I guess, you know, if you can make those changes and maybe make sure that your security gets out a little bit farther around the perimeter, and we'll have the police department pay a little, you know, go there a little bit more often, and maybe we can curb some of that noise.
Okay.
So I don't see any reason why we can't close this out unless there is another incident that brings them back here.
No, I think you're doing everything right. You're going in the right direction, and it's entirely up to you. If you're going to lower the music and try to control what goes on out in the parking lot, as long as we don't have to have our counselor up at 2:30 in the morning.
No.
I think we can.
That's the main thing I want to avoid. I already know how some people do get aggravated and start hearing people screaming, and I really don't want to disturb the neighbors. I've never had any issues until now.
Well, you've certainly demonstrated that you're cooperative with the police department and this board, so we'll consider this matter closed for now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Item number 7 is 388 Broadway LLC, doing business as Volare's Restaurant. I'm going to have, so this is this request came in from the Revere Police Department and this board. What I'd like to do is have the officers come up, explain the incidents that they've encountered, and then we'll have you come up and address them. So,
Sergeant Patty Carey, Revere Police Department.
great, thank you.
Volare's. We've had, from the beginning of last year, approximately 120 entries. Since July 11th of 15, we've had 10 disturbances, 2 assault by means of a dangerous weapon, 2 arrests, 1 911 hang-up. We've had reports of fights.
Excuse me, Sergeant.
Yep.
Could you put your mic on, please?
Yeah, actually, it is on.
Okay.
No, it's going to be green. Is it green or red?
Red.
It needs to be green, yeah. There you go.
It's green.
You might need to pull it down just a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Again, we've had since July 11th of last year, we've had 10 disturbances, 2 assault by means of a dangerous weapon, usually glassware, 2 arrests, a 911 hang-up. We've had reports of, within the disturbances, fights, drunken parties, arguments, and that's what we've been dealing with at Volare's. For our 2 assault by means, we've had a male party who had gotten gashed in his face. He went to the hospital. And the second person, she got hit in the head with a possible shot glass that was thrown at her. We attempted to contact the management and attempt to get video of the assaults, and basically got stonewalled. I don't know how to work the video system. It might have written over by now. You have to talk to this person. Send your video guy down, but our video guy can't get in touch to get to the system to burn a CD of what happened. And, you know, sometimes they, when we're there for an altercation, they'll claim that it happened out in the street when our investigation shows that it happened inside the establishment.
How many phone calls have you gotten from the establishment asking them for assistance?
0.
And these disturbances have seemed to have taken place anywhere between like 10 p.m. and closing.
10 p.m. to close, yes.
Great.
Any after closing?
After closing, one party who ended up getting arrested, he was intoxicated. He started hitting on a girl. He had to be escorted out of the establishment by the officer and started, as the patrons were coming out, then he was starting with the rest of the crowd that was leaving the establishment. He ended up being arrested for disturbance, disorderly conduct.
Are these disturbances on weekends? Are they during the week? And then does the Revere Police Department have any detail officers at the establishment?
They happened on weekends. We used to have a detail there. We no longer do. I'm not sure when that ended.
The last regular detail, the last one that was a regular weekly detail would have been August of 2014. Since then, they've here or there, October 14 one night, November of 14 one night, December of 14 one night, and then just recently, this week, they requested a detail for Friday nights going forward.
So we went over a year without...
A year with no detail, basically, yeah.
Was that one, do we know if that was a prerequisite in terms of a detail at the establishment on weekends? I'd like to check that out. Okay. Great, thank you.
Ask one question. When you're there, do you observe when these problems are happening, the overall watching of the patrons in there? Would you say that they all seem to be a little overserved? Just your opinion. I know you can't.
My opinion, there's numerous people who have been overserved. Usually their arrests are overserved. The disturbances come from an overserved patron who gets loud. One disturbance we had that was out in the street when we arrived. It was denied that it happened inside. Our investigation showed it did happen inside. The person we were trying to calm down didn't calm down, and it was disturbing the entire neighborhood. And then he resisted arrest, and you know, I got kicked that night. 2 officers fell down on top of the person as we were taking him in. He was belligerent to my lieutenant in the booking room. So it's a whole series of things he can address. He's been doing a lot of the follow-up on these last 2 assaults, so he can probably give you more on that.
So, but when this was happening, were you in any way being helped by the establishment, or were they cooperative in helping out?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Lieutenant Callahan?
Sir, how are you?
Good evening.
Good, very good.
Please state your name for the record, please.
David Callahan.
Great. And Could you give us your take on your investigation with respect to?
Yes, 2 incidents involving felonious assaults inside the establishment. One gentleman was struck in the face with a glass or a bottle. I believe it to be a glass. Ultimately, he had to go to the hospital. He received numerous stitches in his face. But we were not notified through the establishment. We got kind of at the station, they got like a 911 hang-up type call, and that's when we went up there, and clearly you could see there was an assault inside the establishment. There was blood on the floor, there was glass on the floor, and we weren't notified.
And was he gone by the time you got there?
Absolutely, yes. He was gone to the hospital. I believe he went to the Whidden Memorial Hospital for treatment. And as soon as I was aware that, the gentleman was not there, he went to the hospital. We sent an officer immediately to the hospital to go speak with him. We did get some photographs of his injuries. And he had a grievous injury to his face. And the latest one happened in the beginning of January, where a female patron was hit in the face, or hit in the forehead with a shot glass or a glass. She sustained an injury. There was no laceration, but she clearly had a contusion. It was bruised. There was a police report that was done on the night of the incident, and then they came in for a follow-up a day or two later.
So they came to the police
To the police
department.
station, yes, absolutely.
There's no report or anything?
There is police reports of both incidents.
There wasn't any report from the establishment calling you?
No, on both incidents, the establishment, it was never out in the open. To my knowledge, we were never called saying, this is the establishment, we have an issue here, please send the police, police send medical aid, we need the fire department, an ambulance. We didn't receive any calls like that whatsoever from the establishment.
Right.
And that's just the issue I have. I mean, I understand there's going to be, we hope there is no problems, but when there is a problem, I think they have a duty to respond and call, and we need help.
So after that first incident, did you ever notify them that next time there's an incident, you have to let us know?
Yeah, absolutely. I had some conversation with people in the establishment. They said, oh, gee, the guy, he went outside, we don't know. But it was clearly evident the assault happened in the place with blood and glass and debris on the floor.
Okay.
So what's your observations in terms of the establishment itself? Because it seems to me, and I frequent the restaurant and, up till 9:30 or so, and I never see any type of incidents in there. However, I mean, it's pretty clear to me that something changes between, 10 o'clock and closing.
Yeah, absolutely. It just, I think it's sometimes the bar mentality or the bar element that happens some nights. That's where the issue is, and we see it usually on Friday or Saturday. These particular incidents, I believe, my memory's correct, were on a Friday or a Saturday.
Is there any entertainment there on the weekends?
You know what, I believe they had a DJ or they had someone there this past weekend, but they did have a police detail. I was there at closing time and there was no problems.
Okay. Any questions?
I have no questions. I'd like to hear from the establishment as to
Great.
what's going on there.
Thank you. If you can
Okay,
just stand
excellent.
by for a
Listen.
few minutes.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. So please state your name for the record, please.
Cecilia Maya.
And you're the owner?
Yes.
Can you address these issues? I mean, to me, it's not only disappointing, it's disturbing to me that they've had 120 entries, 10 disturbances, 2 assaults, 2 arrests, in 911 hang-up call, and no calls from the establishment at all.
That's true, and I'm terribly sorry. The first incident that one of the police officers mentioned, where the gentleman was cut in the face, it happened. The bartender had turned around, was clearing a tab from the computer, and all he heard was like the boom, boom, boom. And so when he turned around, he said there was a gentleman on the floor. The bar manager ran around, because he was at the other end, ran around, picked up the guy, and took him to the hospital. So that's true. We didn't call 911 because he was bleeding. So my manager, John, he didn't think. He just thought, let me help him, let me take him to the hospital. And that's how that gentleman got to the hospital.
But
really.
no one else in the establishment thought to make a phone call to the police department?
I don't know if, I don't know if they didn't think to call, but it just, I don't know, it was a spur of the moment thing. And so John's mentality was, I need to get him help. And so he took him in his car and said, come on, I'll take you to the hospital. That's what happened then. The other night, the other incident where the female said that she was struck in the head with it was a couple actually that was sitting in a corner, and then right next to her there were 4 other girls. And then the girl that got hit in the head, I guess, argued or said something to one of the other girls, and she threw her drink at her. I'd lie if I told you that it was a shot glass. The drink hit her, and so then my bar manager came and said to her, are you okay? Are you okay? Made sure that they took the other girls out and said, you gotta go. And the woman and her boyfriend sat there the rest of the evening chit-chatting. No, I'm fine, I'm okay, everything's okay, I'm fine, it's nothing, no biggie. And so we didn't call the police only because she said she was fine, everything was okay. However, after that incident where I know that the lieutenant came into the bar shortly after that and had said, you need to call the police every time something happens. So we had a staff meeting, and we went over everything with everyone saying, listen, regardless of how small or how large the incident is, you need to call the police. If you see that there are 2 people arguing, you need to call the police. So that is our new procedure as far as any incidents occurring. Just last Monday we had a gentleman that was disturbing some girls at the bar. That's the first thing that the bartender did. He called 911 and said, listen, I have a guy that's causing a ruckus over here, and the police did come. Of course, the person left because my bartender said, how am I going to hold him down? I can't hold him down, but, gave the description, and we went over it, so we implemented that, and thank God that, everyone's aware. We've put signs on every single POS. Again, we had the staff meeting. Everyone is instructed that regardless of how little or how large the incident is, that they're to call 911.
So how are you going to address cooperation with the police department in terms of, my understanding is that they came in, you stonewalled them on the video component of it. I mean, in my mind, there are certain things that are going to need to change going forward, because it's clearly a problem at this point.
I understand. We didn't mean to be disrespectful or uncooperative. And I'll tell you, I'm technologically challenged. I can turn something on and I can turn something off, but that's as far as I go. We hired someone to come in to install the system. The lieutenant that came in had asked to see the video. Unfortunately, the person that was there at the moment that the officer came in doesn't know how to work it, but from what I understood is that they were going to send someone in to, I guess, to review it, because I don't know, it's that they would send someone in is the last thing that I knew.
I mean, the board is, this board has always been proactive and pro-business, and we've never really taken a hard stand on people who have been cooperative with the police department and some of the things that we've asked them to implement. But, I mean, clearly, we don't have any of that here. Let me ask you a question. Are your bartenders tip certified?
Most of them are, yes.
Because it sounds like to me that a lot of people must be intoxicated to get to a point where they're throwing glasses around. And that's generally been my experience when I've been in a bar.
I think it's probably so, but I also think it's a combination of your age. I think young people tend to resolve their issues with their hands, versus as we mature, we resolve our issues, by speaking, or, it's vocal, it's not physical. But as soon as I get back to the restaurant, I will schedule a meeting, and I'm going to talk to everyone, and we're going to go over our serving policy. The police, the 911 is already in place, I assure you of that, and I will try. I will make sure that everyone understands that we need to cooperate you know, the police department, I feel embarrassed. If anything, I'm embarrassed that, you know, that they feel that we didn't cooperate. And really, it'll never happen again.
I mean, it's a great restaurant, and it's a shame that you know, part of the business is really, in my mind, you know, really hurting.
Right.
I think so let me ask you about entertainment. So what are you doing in the way of entertainment? Because our understanding is that you've got an entertainment license for music, television, and a cappella singers.
We bring them in for, you know, on slow, for example, we know what certain months are slow, and so we try to bring in a group to sing, to boost sales. That's what we do. Otherwise, it's usually just the radio. You know, not the radio, but the internet radio.
Yeah. Any questions?
No, so you're saying that this incident, I'm just trying to clear this up because listening to the officers, the incident when his face was slashed did happen inside the establishment?
Yes,
okay. So, so I'm getting two different stories. I'm just trying to clear that up. And by not calling the police, because obviously we have many establishments in the city, and I think if we put them all together, we didn't get this many calls throughout the whole city that you have on record here. I think I have to say, because I think that maybe your customers know police are not going to come there. They're not going to be called. Because I don't know, I mean, I'm just saying in the last 4 or 5 years, I don't know anyone that's thrown a glass in a bar or anyone's got cut or, but I will tell you those establishments, as Sergeant Carey can attest to, they call, they pick up the phone. And we just don't get those kind of calls. It's surprising. And I'm quite taken back by how many times the police have had to be called to come there. And I again, agree with Commissioner Quarantello. I think at one point that we did say that you were supposed to have detailed officers on the weekends. I could be wrong, but I doubt we would have given you a cappella and a couple of calls that did come in at the time and said you didn't need detail.
I could be wrong, I could be mistaken, but I don't remember being told that I needed detail on a regular basis. The times that we've had detail is when we'll do that. We'll do the a cappella, but you know, I have a terrible memory, so it could be.
Well, I don't think we said it was 7 nights a week, but I do believe it may have been on the weekends.
So I don't know if I know we have called for detail, and like the officer said, we did. We started, we ordered detail for the next following Fridays, hoping that things will die down. The times that we didn't have detail for that almost year is because we had hired our own, not security, but yes, we had a gentleman at the door that would, you know, make sure that everyone had proper ID. I think we brought him in like after 10, and that, you know, to try to keep everything under control, because if they saw someone there, you know, more or less acting as security, that it would, you know, maintain a calm you know, atmosphere. So that's why that year that we didn't, it's because we were paying security out of our pocket. You know, we would only use or call for a detail, you know, when we did something bigger like the a cappella.
Okay. What time is your kitchen open till? What time do you serve dinner till?
Well, technically dinner, usually we'll serve dinner until the last person wants to have dinner. But technically 10:30, 11.
Now we change the hour for just dinner. We have it Monday to Friday from 4 o'clock to 10, to Thursday, Friday and Saturday to 11 o'clock for dinner, and then Sunday after 10 o'clock because it has a car from 11 o'clock up to serve food and to 1:40 people need to actually be here free pizza on Saturday night.
Well, I don't know. You had the security, you've had it for over a year, you haven't had detail. And when did you realize it wasn't working, not having detail? Or did you realize that, not having the detail? See, before that, you weren't having a problem.
Right, it's just, it's a random thing, but, you know, we're gonna continue it, we're gonna continue to have the detail. And it's only Friday nights that the younger crowd comes in, because usually the other nights, it's, you know, I'm not blaming it on the young people, but it's just that the younger crowd, I guess they have more energy. But the other nights, we normally don't have problems. It's you know, everybody will come in, we'll have dinner, you know, or they'll have a drink and they'll have appetizers. And it's fine. It's a calm night. I think it's just the Fridays, and so again, that's why we're doing the details on Fridays.
Well, I think this board will probably look into some mandatory details. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to speak for my commissioners, but.
Could you please come up and step up to the mic, please, and state your name for the record, please?
My name is Salvatore Galli. I'm the chef manager at Volare. I feel like performance like when I play trumpet. I start getting nervous. So we stopped the detail because we are a new manager and financial, you know, we are friends with the restaurant. So the only time we have a little issue on the situation on the other side, we try to keep all the crowd in the beer. So we said, like, you know, financial, we cannot afford to pay the deadline now. Let's go see how it goes, just with the manager and try to keep it, you know, without to have a detail. But unfortunately, we start seeing, like you had a discussion months ago, I think it's got to go under control. You know, we got to make it detailed. So we try to look at financial, figure possibly done or not. And the reason come before we make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly don't want to hurt a restaurant or any business for that matter by putting, you know, onerous controls in place. However, I mean, in this case, it's either you get a detail or you end up losing the business anyway, because the way it's continuing, there's no way that this place is going to stay open until 2 a.m. if it continues this way. I guess I have a question to Sergeant Curry and Lieutenant Callahan. What would be your recommendation in terms of details at this establishment, and what do you feel should be the hours?
Sir, I would say in the past, we had them on, I believe it was Friday and Saturdays. And it alleviated some of the problems. And usually the hours on that type of detail were 10:30 at night to 2:30 in the morning. So it would cover that busy hour and up until closing time, and to make sure that, you know, everybody's out. Because I know sometimes it's difficult. People are out front, they're on the sidewalk, and, you know, the officer there, along with whoever the area patrol is, would be able to disperse that, and the likelihood of having a problem it really dissipated quite a bit.
Are these incidents, and I know you don't have the records in front of you.
Yes.
But I mean, would you say the majority of these incidents are on the weekend?
Yes, to my knowledge, yes. The last two, we had the felonious assaults, both of those incidents were on weekends.
Between 11 and 2?
Eight out of the 10 disturbances were on the weekend. On Friday,
between what
Saturday.
hours, 11 and 2?
Yeah, between 10 and closing.
Okay, so after dinner time, most people in there that probably aren't there for dinner, they're there for drinks. So it's like, so you have a separate operation for your dinner, which is going smooth, going well. Then the drinking crowd comes in, that's when all hell breaks loose. Mm-hmm. So it appears you're very well, you know, you have a good system in place for the dinner, for the, you know, for the eating time. But when it comes to the liquor period, it's a whole different world. So you need to adjust, whether it's more detail at that time or some other procedures. That's where you run into problems, because it's, again, people coming in just to drink, and you're running into problems there. And, you know, cooperation's been a problem. I'm assuming there's no operational manual for the 11 to 2 time frame. A manual where the new workers come in and say, this is what you do. So there's no excuse, there's no communication breakdown. So you need to have something like that. And you know, they're big business, but you know, a lot of liability there. You know, if someone gets hurt, killed, whatever, they're gonna come after you. especially if you don't have any documentation.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
I
gotta
mean-
start thinking about that stuff too.
Okay.
So, and what really is that, Sergeant Carey comes in here a lot, and she's pretty laid back. I mean, but this time she was pretty adamant that this has been a problem for her, because for her to say, 0 phone calls, that caught my eye. She usually doesn't do that, but she made a point to say 0 phone calls. That bothered her. So, in the future, that needs,
Without a doubt.
no matter what. Okay? That's what I have to say at this point.
I just think it's unfortunate. You people come into the city, you open up a beautiful restaurant. The food is great. It's a great place to go. I enjoy it there, and I just don't understand. And I think, as you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, you're getting a young crowd at 10 o'clock. Maybe you got to look at the crowd you're letting in there. And especially if they're regulars and they're coming in every week, and this is happening on weekends, you maybe have to ask them to go elsewhere. I hate to see restaurants like this come in. We've had some wonderful restaurants in the last couple of years come in the city, and it's great to have you here. But again, it's our city. We want it quiet. People leave. We don't need this in our restaurants. I enjoy going there. I don't want to be concerned if I go there that some altercation's going to break out while I'm enjoying dinner.
I had a conversation with the lieutenant a week ago, so I mentioned to him, and I was approached with Mrs. Maya as a beer chef and run the business at Volare. I can't say like I consider him from Revere.
Please talk into the mic. They can't hear you in the back.
Me from Revere, because when I come from Italy, I just stop over here, and from here, like I had experience in North End, Taj, and Ritz-Carlton, operated in a culinary business. So when they asked me to come over here, this is when I started from the beginning. So I want to have like a family restaurant, and support the community. And I don't say unfortunately, but as some nights it's a little slow. Some nights you gotta make sure that I gotta do the budget for her. To make sure everything can go well. We need to increase the income. That's why we decided to try to get a little bar business on Friday and Saturday. But unfortunately, some issue come aboard. I want to keep, I would be the manager, I would be in charge. I want to keep this as a family restaurant and continue the way. So if the board suggests to keep everything quiet, we need a detail tonight, we have to do it, Because as a chef, as a family, I have my own family. I don't want to go over there and keep my life in jeopardy. I consider me like as a human customer. I go over there, I want to make sure that everything go well. The way, and I'm so sorry myself, because I don't want to play naive. I said I didn't know the incident got to be 911. I'll be honest with you, I don't like to fight with somebody or to get some issue if I can call someone that can do for me. So I was putting myself it's my fault to make sure that I don't say to everybody call 911, because usually my duty up to 11 o'clock when you don't need till I need that.
Yeah.
I go to home and I can make somebody be in charge. But if I have to stay an hour, an hour to make sure everything go well, I'll be there because I want to keep my job.
The thing that's shocking to me is that there's very few bars in the city now. Most of them are associated with restaurants, right? And we haven't had anything even remotely close to these 2 incidents. Think about that for a second. And this is and we're talking about a nice restaurant. But something after 10 o'clock is totally, goes off the rails at that point.
I can share my entire life with you. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I'm 8 years sober. So
Good for you.
For me, see something like this is not acceptable, because I was there, and I'll be honest with you, I can really not control some people, because I was maybe 100 foods something before I go to the restaurant. So it's so hard to manage everybody. But now, believe me, I can see from far away somebody's anti-influence or not, because I want to keep myself sober, and I don't like this instance. So my apology if this is here on Volare 388 to Broadway. whatever we have done to allow this don't be a routine or don't allow it at all. I mean,
And we're willing to take the necessary steps to do whatever you tell us we need to do. We want to keep our business, we love our business, and we just, we want to do the right thing for everyone, for us, for you, for the community, and you rest assured that we will be calling 911 anytime an incident occurs.
Well, I think by calling 911, you're also protecting the police department, because they know where they're going, what they're going to be facing, and they can get there. Maybe if they feel they need backup, they take backup with them. So, I mean, it protects everyone, the city, the police department, your customers, and it's just the right thing to do, as every other business in the city does. And I'm total agree with my colleagues. We want these restaurants here. We want nice businesses, but we can't tolerate unwanted customers, and I think you have to maybe look at your customers and see who is coming in there. And certainly if it's a regular crowd that's coming in, maybe, you have to gear in a different direction, But my personally, how I feel as far as the restaurant goes and what we should do about it, I personally would like to leave it up to the police department. Maybe Sean put some things in place that will go by there and check. And I feel I want the opinion of the police department to help me with my vote on what should be done.
Well, the other thing is, you mentioned about tip certified, Bart. You said they were not all tip certified?
We have, there's two new, and so I don't remember seeing their certificate, but all my old bartenders, without a doubt.
Okay.
Normally, we give them 30 days. If they're a new bartender, we'll give them 30 days to get tip certified. That's usually our rule of thumb.
So would you be willing?
Sorry, out of 4 of 16 people to interview another couple days.
The mic, you can't hear.
Sorry, you need to speak up to the mic.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
That I put on Craigslist, so in 3 days, a period I have 15 or 16 interview. So we have to make sure that everybody is going, whatever needs to require to tips or anything like to be able to run the establishment.
Well, I think all of these things that you're talking about is really to protect yourself. That's for your benefit. You certainly don't want to come back up here again, because we really don't want to see you back here with another problem like this.
So what I think I would suggest is that you provide us with some type of written procedures in terms of what you're planning to do for the after 10 crowd, and then and the police department, they feel like we should have a detail on Friday, Saturday, from 4 to 10. Lieutenant Randall?
I think at this point, given their history and what we've heard from the lieutenant, from the sergeant, I think Friday and Saturday nights would be appropriate to have a police detail there from 10:30 to 2:30. 10:30 to 2:30. Is that acceptable to you guys?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes.
What about the security, the tapes, the videotapes? Has that been repaired, or is that a problem?
No, what it is that, well, again, I don't know how to work it too well, but what that system does is that after and I'd have to check the thing, after X amount of days, it'll start taping over whatever
Correct.
Was there before.
Overwrite, yeah.
That's what it does. Okay. But I don't know.
Is there any way you could tell us what it does do? So at least the police department.
If you came in today, I could show you what it did today. But I don't know if it's 5 days or 7 days or 10 days. It takes over itself after, because supposedly it's supposed to help you save in whatever source.
But if somebody.
About the technology.
So we need to find that out. We need to.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even think that's a problem. I think that if the police department comes in and there was an incident that evening, you should just give them the tape of that evening. Why are we?
Because I don't think I'd have to find out. I don't want to speak out of it.
So we'd like to find out.
I'd like to find out if it's a CD or if it's a tape. I'm not sure what it produces, but I'll find out.
Clearly, somebody in that establishment needs to understand how to run that video.
Do we have some?
Okay, yes.
Because if an incident takes place,
But we have
And-
someone that does that.
who?
In the
In
police
the, on the
department.
police department?
Yeah, Officer, the detective Kenneth Barucher, he is our, I don't know, IT guy for video, places like that. So if he went down, if they would cooperate, if they had cooperated with him, he would more than likely be able to operate the system and pull up what he needs.
One time it was a shooting, I don't know if it was placed in Chelsea or somewhere. So the police officer was come over there and asked me like if I can review the tape. No, of course, like I can consider I can inform the I know almost everybody. It's like no problem. And so when he was to look at it, because they say it was truck a car, so he saw like from the tape that someone parked area. So he asked us to put like another camera from Broadway side. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know the much, but I know that the system is not running right. Because the cable, as soon as you move, I got the camera on my phone too. And sometimes it gets lost because there's no hook up, is that right? My English is hook up, right. So we got another 3 camera open, you know what I mean? We can put another 3 camera, and yes, we need some help with our run.
So all I want to establish here is that if an incident takes place and the police department want to see the video, that you give them access to the video.
Absolutely.
100%.
It's working. Any other questions?
I have no other questions, no.
So, there's a motion on the table for the use of details on Friday and Saturday between 10:30 and 2:30 a.m. 10:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. And that you'll provide us with sort of a written plan in terms of what you're planning to do to curb the problems that you're having.
I also would, I would like to put this, place this on file. So should these incidents occur again, we can refer back to what we went over today and what you're going to put in place so that this is on record, that we have told you you need this detail. And we can look back, and obviously if there's another incident and a police officer comes in, first thing you can do, I'm sure, Sean can get the police officer to come down, take that tape out, and then we can worry about if it, you can see it or not. But I would like to place this all on file so that we can refer back to this should another incident happen.
Okay, so the motion is in the form of a detail Friday and Saturday night from 10:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. Written procedures to the Revere License Commission on the changes that you're going to make for the business after 10 p.m. and that everything, any type of any issues or incidents at the establishment will be filed for later
Reference.
reference. Thank you. Sorry. That is in the form of a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The one last thing is just 100% tip certified, all the bartenders. Just let us know that that's happened next 30 days. I understand 30 days. But.
Absolutely. Okay. I just have one question. Should I call the police department and order the detail for Saturday, or is that taken care of here?
I think it deal.
No, she'd have to contact the detail office. Yeah, contact Sergeant Callahan in the detail office.
Okay.
And I'll speak with him tomorrow and tell him about what's going on here tonight.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Communication Form 43 from the Massachusetts Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission approving a change of manager for Uno Restaurants LLC doing business as Uno Chicago Grill. Form 43 from the Massachusetts Alcohol Beverage Control Commission approving a malt wine package store license for Sharad Shah doing business as the Breadbasket Discount Store. Notice of a hearing from the Massachusetts Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission to determine if the Dining Room Inc., DBA Sebastian's Restaurant, has violated Massachusetts General Law 151A, Section 14, 15, and 45 relating to unemployment insurance. Hearing date is Thursday, February 25th, 2016 at 11 a.m. Notification from the Massachusetts Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission approving a malt wine restaurant license for Antonella's Inc. License renewals for 2016. I will make a motion to approve all licenses for common victuals, entertainment, motor vehicle sales, class 2, second-hand dealer, pawnbroker, gold, silver, precious metals, and jewelry dealer, and flea market on page 3 of 4.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approval of all renewals for 2016. And these are late additions to the agenda for all parking lots and hotels and auto groups on page 404. Is there a second to that motion?
Second motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And do we want to address the restaurant on, no? Okay.
When's our next meeting?
Oh, yeah, when is our next meeting? Our next meeting is Wednesday, February 17th? Great, thank you. Make a
Motion to adjourn.
Second motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.